Now we have an $828,000 building is depreciated for tax purposes by its owner using a straight line depreciation method. The value of building after X months is given by this equation. 828,000 minus 2,300 times X. So find and interpret the y-intercept of the graph of this function. Well, we want it in the form y equals mx plus b, means we really just need to change this around. Y equals negative 2,300x plus, or 828,000. So this is our b. 0, 828,000 would be our y-intercept. Interpret that. What does that mean in the real world? That means that the original value of the building, this is after X months, after 0 months for X equals 0, is $828,000. Pen's being weird again. Find and interpret the x-intercept. So in this case, we want y to equal 0. So 0 equals 828,000 minus 230, or 2,300x. So 2,300x equals 828,000. And when I divide that by 2,300, I find out that x is 360. And interpret that, we will say the value of the building will be $0 after 360 months, or that would be 30 years. The rate of change of a linear function, y equals mx plus b, is the constant m. So the constant rate of change is the slope. Constant rate of change is a slope. Here we have an application. The number of times per minute, minute being measured in N, that a cricket chirps can be modeled by this function of the Fahrenheit temperature T. The data can be approximated by this function. So the number of times it chirps equals 12 times the temperature divided by 7 minus 52 divided by 7. What is the rate of change? Rate of change is the slope. So the slope here is 12/7. It's what's times the x. Just get used to x and y's might be represented by different letters. What is to tell about the relationship between the temperature and the number of chirps? Well, that looks to me like the higher temp equals more chirps. A company buys and retails baseball caps, and the total cost is linear. The total cost for 200 caps is $2,690. The total cost for 500 caps is $3,530. What is the marginal cost, which is the rate of change? Marginal cost is rate of change, while the rate of change is the slope. Well, If I were putting these as ordered pairs, I would have 200 caps is 2,690. That's an ordered pair. And 500 caps results in 3,530. The caps, number of caps being my independent or X variable. So I can put 3,530 minus 2,690 divided by 500 caps minus 200 caps. I end up with 840 over 300, and when I divide that, it comes out to 2.8. So the rate of change of this function is 2.8. The company produces and sells BlackBerry smartphone with revenues. Revenues are how much money you take in of 84.50x dollars. And cost is given by, cost is how much it costs to make that, 52.47x plus $6,790, where x is the number of BlackBerries produced and sold. The marginal revenue for the BlackBerry, this is revenue. So we're looking at revenue. We're looking at this equation, revenue. Okay. And the marginal, whenever time they're saying marginal, they're talking about the slope. So the marginal revenue is 84.50, and what that means is they sell the BlackBerries for $884.50 each. Working with the same thing, we need to find the profit function. Well, let's think. Profit. Profit is going to equal, well, what's the amount of profit? Here's the money I take in, and here's the money I spend for each BlackBerry. So the profit is the revenue minus the cost. And that is something I expect you to know, be able to figure out. So the profit function, P of X equals the revenue, 84.50x, minus the cost. Make sure you put this in parentheses, 52.47x plus the 6790. Now, when I remove those parentheses, it'll be negative 52.47x minus 6790. So the profit will equal 32.03x minus 6790. This is the profit function. It's the marginal profit. Remember, marginal is the slope, and we want to go from the profit function. Well, the slope of that profit function was 32.03. And what does that mean? Well, of course, this is money. And it says, basically, the company makes $32.03 for each BlackBerry sold.